Shalom Aleichem, how are you guys doing? This is to correct the audio of the last video I made, which was on some updates or changes. Oh look, I still have my earphones on. Bloop. Sorry about that. Uh, yeah, so this is to recap what I was talking about in the last video that had some serious audio problems. I'm not sure how much better this is going to sound to you than the last video, but we'll see. Just let me know. Okay, so as you know, last week was Rosh haShana, the biblical Yom Teruah, and this marks, according to Jewish tradition, the new year, not the Jewish new year, but the new year counting from creation. As to what exactly that means, Lech Teda, who knows? Okay, but the essential point of Rosh Hashanah, regardless of any markings of significant events in history, is that it is a time that we are supposed to reawaken to God. Obviously, every single day we should contemplate uh, whether we are behaving correctly towards God and our fellow man, but because the reality is that it is difficult for most people to do so every single day, therefore we have a specific uh, time period set aside every year that is especially dedicated to this end. Now, upon the passing of Rosh Hashanah, we have some minor changes in our daily prayers between the time of Rosh Hashanah and the arrival of Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement. And those two changes in our prayers, as instituted by Hazal, Hachamenu Zichronam Livracha, our blessed sages of the Talmudic era and before, are as follows. The change in the third blessing of the Amidah, which is the blessing that concerns praising God in regard to His holiness. That third blessing ends throughout the year. Uh, Worshipful are you, O Lord, the Holy God. But during this time period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, instead of ending it, blessed are you, or worshipful are you, O Lord, the Holy God, we are going to instead say, worshipful are you, O Lord, the Holy King. And there's one other change in the Amidah, and that change is a little bit later on in the Amidah, where we request from God that He aid us in the restoration of our judges, that proper and upright adjudication and legislation of the Torah commandments be renewed in among our people and in the world. So throughout the year, we usually say at the end of that short little blessing, worshipful are you, O Lord, uh, the King who loves righteousness and justice. But at this point in the year, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, instead we're going to say, worshipful are you, O Lord, the King of judgment. So, as to emphasize that this is a time of judgment. Clearly, the Creator, blessed be He, is exalted above all concepts of time, and so the truth is that there is no difference between now and the rest of the year from God's perspective. Judgment is a reality every moment of our lives. However, insofar as our awareness, the judgment is happening now. And okay, so those are the two uh, changes in our daily prayers during this time period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim that was sanctioned by our sages, whom the Torah itself mandates that we heed. However, the nearly universal practice among the Jewish people is to make several other changes in addition to these two minor changes, and those other changes uh, are not mandated by the sages. They are post-Talmudic practices, and they are problematic. Why? Because although we are allowed to have extra practices that are not mandated by the Talmud, that is on the condition that these extra practices we acknowledge as doing voluntarily, and on the condition that they do not contradict the Torah or the uh, edicts of the sages. However, these additions do. How so? Well, our sages prohibited that we add to the first three or the last three blessings of the Amidah. All of those blessings between the first and the last three are permitted, and it's even praiseworthy to add your own words to personalize the prayers in between. And that is the section that concerns requests. However, in the first three blessings, which concern praise to God, and the last three, which concern thanksgiving to God, we are not supposed to add to the words that were instituted by our sages. And these other post-Talmudic additions do add to that, and some of them are rather lengthy. So, as though the Jewish people already do not have a challenge to have intention in their prayers, so we have to add extra unnecessary words to what is already mandated. Well, hope this audio is more comprehensible to you guys. Please let me know, and have a good Yomim Noraim. That all of our hearts be inspired to return to God and to return to ourselves, as it says in the holy writings, that if we shall return to God, then He shall return to us. Kol Tuv.